I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
You're watching Violet Evergarden, Season 1, Episode 12. Aiden, my boy.
My boy.
My sweet, dead boy. Your words and feelings were delivered, and Violet was a train wreck, and so was I. I kind of hope that we see Hodgins, you know...
Kind of getting to reunite with Violet after
and be
her
like,
little
what
excursion.
the fuck was that?
A little bit of, like, scolding, but with a
some
big
light
hug.
scolding and
light
hugs.
scolding.
Group hugs.
But then he sees that she's been crying, and he's like, oh, gotta give her a big hug.
Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet.
他の勢力との合流を狙っていると考えられる。そこで君の部隊の力を借りたい。ディートフリートブーゲンビリア海軍大佐。なぜ陸軍ではなく海軍の私を？君も分かっていると思うが、今回の和平調印式は大陸全土の今後に関わる重要なしかも今回の作戦に海軍はうってつけと来ている。厄介事は弟がいないのなら兄に頼めか。反対勢力が和平交渉を妨害しに来るのは間違いない。和平の象徴として完成した大陸縦断鉄道に施設と民間のドールが乗り、ディスタリーからガルダリクに向かうのだが、これが危ない。二度と争いは起きてはならん。近隣部隊を自由に使って構わん。必ず阻止してくれ。和平か。
I'm gonna love this episode. This is gonna be fun.
What parts of it sound the most fun to you?
Diet Hard's just so lovable and blue.
Some civilian dolls, some envoys, some railroads.
Don't try to make me excited mentioning railroads.
You got a plane last episode, now you're getting railroads.
Oh, I didn't even get to talk about how much I loved the pilot last episode. He was so cool.
He was so cool.
Yeah, Violet was like, I need an excellent pilot. Only an excellent pilot could do it. He was like, I love you.
You said the right words, lady.
Give me Hodgins punching Diet Hard once. Just once.
I'd kind of like to see Kaguya yell at him or something.
With Gilbert gone, you're putting the pressure on the older brother.
Everyone's faces.
Collective gasp. Hell yeah. I love her in that hat. I was gonna compare her to Amelia Earhart, but I thought that would not be a good omen. Oh God.
私たちがあの特使と一緒にガルダリクに行って公開和平書簡のやっと戦争の終わりだ。ええ。今後の予定をご案内させていただきます。あれよりレントラー川を北上し、メヒティヒから運河を経由して翌一蓋丸々にエクストレーメ国ディスタリーに到着の予定です。そこで待機している特別列車に特使様と乗車していただきます。皆様の安全を期して途中までを船での移動とさせていただいております。ありがとう。貴様らの社長は来ていないのか？戦争が終わった途端にさっさと退役し。
He probably didn't want to see you.
Fucking stupid man.
ブーゲンビリア？それってバイオレットの少佐の。
その兄だ。民間のドールというのはお前一人か？
ええ、バイオレットなら今回は来ません。
それは何よりだ。にしてもまだドールなんぞをやっているのか？あの人間もどきの出来損ないは。
ちょっとあんた。
確かにあいつは出来損ないかもしれねえけど、それでも必死にやってる。あいつが書いた手紙で救われてる人もいる。
Benedict, you fucking
バイオレットは
God.
素敵な手紙を書くんです。すっと人の心に滑り込んで、自分が素直になれる手紙。
That's literally true. You can't argue that. It's objective.
The way like
Great
Benedict
transition.
was like able to like almost kind of calm down Kaguya, like prepare what you want to say and make sure you get your point across by the fact that he interjected there.
And it's Benedict. With his wispy hair.
Oh
no.
メルクロフ准将閣下にはインテンスの時のみならず、
あの屈辱は忘れがたい。我々はその間に南北の交通を破壊、その混乱に乗じて再びインテンスを奪還する。
Wow.
もう争わなくてよくなる。ジョーちゃんの手紙をまた運ぶこともあるかもしれんな。
Feels a little intense, doesn't it?
ただいま。
もうすぐ帰ってくるかな。
動いたか。
That looks like a great place to make a move.
これが完成したから南北の鉄道が通るようになったんだ。
God damn it.
インテンス。
なんだ？火事か？
違います。
准将
Oh
閣下の伝え
no.
ろ。無事潜入に成功したと。
了解しました。
It sucks that I think things like that are so cool.
なんで動かないの？
When people like
近くで火事
put on someone else's clothes and pretend to be them. Infiltrate.
バンダルさん、あの列車のそばに降ろしてください。
Of course his name is Mr. Vandal.
しゃあねえ、捕まれ。
I think that they should just be a duo. Vandal and Violet, like forever.
和平反対派ですか。
Doesn't seem like a
次はこの
coincidence.
車両を狙ってくるぞ。気を探るために先行偵察隊を線路沿いに送る。
Worlds are
直
colliding.
ちに準備させます。
Oh
あな
my
たどうしてここに？
god.
ですが、
なぜ貴様がここにいる？
クトリガルの任務から帰る途中でお見かけいたしましたので、遂行中にガルダ陸軍の残党を見ました。
確かに見たのか。
はい。
話を聞かせろ。
バイオレット？
貴様もさっさと降りろ。
そのような状況ならば私も大佐、ご命令を。
貴様は今も命令が欲しいだけの道具なんだな。
違います。私はもう。
失せろ。
イスタリーを出た特別列車に和平施設が乗っていて、イシドルが潜入に成功した。列車を襲撃して和平を振り出しに戻す。
What a fucking loser.
速度が落ちるところ、そして破壊されると復旧が難しいと。
A bridge.
A bridge!
Why would you destroy a beautiful bridge? 10 years.
Some of the best pieces of cinema happen on trains. Mugen Train.
That's one.
Train to Busan.
それが特使だと思われます。
If Benedict for some reason dies, I'm never watching the show again.
I like that that's your like only rule that you wouldn't want happening.
外せ。グズグズするな。
Oh shit. That's a lot more separation than I assumed it would be.
What side are we
バ
on?
イオレット、特使様をお連れいたします。後方で数人、前方でも物音がしました。
俺がこの列車を止める。お前は中の人間を守れ。
了解しました。
やはり命令が欲しいだけか。
違います。
俺が敵を皆殺しにしろと命じたら平然と殺すんだろう。
誰も殺しません。
道具じゃないなら何だと言うんだ。
Oh.
貴様、ライデンシャフトリヒまたあったな。あの時のクトリガルのガキはどうなった？無様に死んだか？
You fucking fool.
お前が怒ることないだろう。あいつが死んだところで誰も悲しまない。助かったぜ。
Oh.
Seeing who it frickin' is, and that the older brother is here, and Violet is here. Ugh.
行け。思い出した。私はあれを戦場で見たことがある。ライデンシャフトリヒの戦闘人形。
Soldier maiden battle
Battle
doll.
doll.
我々は戦争が終わり、死者も少女も栄光に迎えられるのを夢見て戦っている。だが現実はどうか。上層部は今やお前たちの言いなり、命を懸けて民を守ろうとした兵士たちは役立たずと罵られ、石を投げられる。我々は全てに裏切られ、捨てられた。ならば全てを破壊して何が悪い。
誰も殺したくありません。
かかれ。
Oh my god. The hair. Oh my
keeping them
god,
from
trying
freaking-
to sit. The spark on her arm.
死ね。何をしている。師匠、この
ディートフリート大佐。
自分すら守れないくせに不殺とはおこがましい。弟キグはそんな奴を守ろうとしたのか。
もう誰も殺したくないのです。長の命令は生きろであって殺せではありません。
戦わない。お人形などただの足手まといでしかない。だからキルベルトも守れなかったんだ。誰がキルを殺したんだ。だからお前も死んでしまえ。早く死ね。
少佐はそれでも生きろとおっしゃったのです。守りたかった。私も守りたかったんです。
戦争。
イシドル。
あなたの声。
What the fuck? Okay, that was Violet Evergarden Season 1, Episode 12. That was a change of pace.
It was.
So
wasn't it?
action. So much. I loved.
Wish it was like a movie on a train.
You could tell it wasn't going to be resolved in one episode.
Oh,
I think
definitely.
next episode is the last episode, which I feel like feels right. I feel like that probably shapes my idea of what will inevitably happen, you know?
So what are you thinking right now? Like, what's that shaping into for your theory brain at the moment?
I was worried at the end of the episode, obviously, but it seemed like Violet's fine, and what she did was block the bullet with her arms.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that,
You're not too worried.
Hmm?
You're not too worried about her.
Correct. I am rescinding my statement from last episode's discussion about thinking that Violet's going to write a letter to Gilbert. I think she's going to write a letter to Diethard.
Ooh.
I think that that's going to be inevitably what it is, because at the end of this episode, with Violet blocking the bullet, it's the epitome of what Diethard can't let himself accept, which is that this failure of a tool can be successful in any way. Because all this tool is a failure because it took his brother away from him. It couldn't even save that.
That she was supposed to protect him. And to him, how could she go on living and not be just a really failure of a tool
for
if she
everything.
couldn't even protect
Don't get
his
me
brother.
wrong, I have my ill feelings towards Diethard, but it makes you, like, just give more time or thought to previous interactions we've had with him. I wonder what every thought and reason that wasn't said was when Diethard gave Gilbert Violet. Regardless of him seeing her as a tool, she is and was at that moment a very capable tool and could be the only thing to ensure his brother's safety. And in Violet not protecting him, regardless of what she tried to and wanted to do, his entire life is hanging on the balance of her not being able to do anything and being a failure. Therefore, the thing that Benedict so fucking gracefully said this episode, he's a better man than I think has to prove itself to Diethard. And I think the only way to do that is from the action of what was being stated, which is what Kaguya said of Violet's great at writing letters. She reaches people's hearts.
So I think that you're kind of touching on something that it could be cool to talk about. Obviously, I think Diethard's like a really intriguing character. We see his face contort in such complicated ways that are so similar but so different to Gilbert in terms of how he would facially react to Violet. So many mixed emotions in them. And I think that you could see, from what you're saying, you could see him giving Gilbert a tool as if his way of like being able to be there to protect his brother. Like this was an extension of himself. He gave you this tool to protect you in that way. Like, because if you also think of the beginning of the episode, he's Navy, Gilbert was Army. Gilbert was right in there in the action, and the Navy wasn't really being utilized to the extent that maybe like in terms of like front lines as Gilbert was. You can even use Hodgins as an example there. Like Hodgins didn't even get to actually be there to protect Gilbert. And then talk about Luculia's brother. He was stationed somewhere that wasn't even anywhere near the conflict. How a character would feel knowing they can't be right there with you and they can't actually be there to protect you. The guilt they'd feel where they can't actually be there.
Yeah. I think that maybe part of the reason why I felt like thinking about it, like maybe playing with like a fun idea of trying to recontextualize like motive from Diethard, I think it started after the fucking stupidest man I've ever seen. What was it, General Merkelov or whatever the fuck. I hate them so much. They feel so stupidly bad. And when we're seeing about how it connects to Gilbert and like how his memory of the war, I'm like, you're enclosing him, Diethard, and Violet in like an ice, like, I don't know, like just like you're locking them in a white room together with no doorknob, you know, like narratively. And because of that, you have to think about what's going to remain after the fact, in between Violet, Diethard, are what emotions can you explore? Because we've seen Violet word for word write down thoughts and feelings in a letter, interpret other people's emotions in a letter, but to see her do it on her own behalf, I think would be really strong for those two.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that's left, seemingly. So
from what I see in this moment in time, like especially this episode, I think really shows it. But every interaction the two have had, there's a misplacement, mutually. Violet continue with the fact that Diethard resembles his brother in such ways, you know, the eyes, the hair color. She's continuously
asking for a command again.
Asking for a command, but saying major as if she thinks it's Gilbert at first and realizes it's not. And he is possibly misplacing, like, as if tool, extension of me, I couldn't be there to save my brother. And I'm putting kind of blame on what's happened to him onto you.
Mm-hmm.
They're both putting things onto each other that shouldn't be there and aren't the case. And so there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen between the two of them for any sort of resolution that would ever make Gilbert happy, especially. But I think what's most of all needed is for both of them to have the desire to continue on to live. They're both stuck in something. Violet, I think, has progressed way further than Diethard has in terms of not being kind of stuck, and she is actively trying to do what Gilbert wanted, which is to live even though she has the burns that she does. And Diethard is seemingly still so trapped in the how could you live? How could you live with those burns? How could you go on?
It was so cool to have him just be like, you need to fucking die, and she's like, I can't. I was told not to. Like that, I was told to live. Like that was so fucking cool.
And like, who's he really? I don't know. I feel like you have thoughts of like, who's he really saying these things to?
I don't know. I like that's going, I think, down the rabbit hole
It's
of
a
what
rabbit
I
hole
like.
for
What
sure.
I suggested could be fun to think about, which is if Diethard had any thoughts about wanting to put Violet with Gilbert for protection. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's an interesting thought, and if it is, awesome. I think
it's fun and it's easy to reach for the idea that humans are fickle and don't always mean what they say. That's kind of the point of some of the series in terms of what it is to be a doll, what it is to interpret what someone truly means and the words that they say, and how fickle and complicated human emotions are.
I think Diethard and Gilbert especially have turned into these like massive question marks for me that I feel like don't need to be expanded upon, but I wish they were, because they seem so fascinating and interesting. Their relationship, a lot of just like, I feel like I could watch an entire series on Gilbert before Violet Evergarden. I feel like I could do the same with Diethard. I feel like their emotions are so fascinating, and every expression that we've seen from Gilbert is so fascinating and was so fascinating that I feel like I would like to be in his head a little bit.
That's fair.
Violet not killing people. I have very little that I've written down this episode, but
she was definitely effective.
She saved the person falling off the train,
and then she got shot. And slashed
that was
literally as she was
fucking
saving. Like,
insane.
That was a very frustrating moment for me, because obviously, like, I'm a viewer watching a screen like, hey, didn't you see her try to save your buddy? Think about it. But like, no, they're in the heat of something. They're told to kill her, to stop her. But also I feel like it needs to be noted what the enemy soldiers, the anti-pieces perspective is. I think that it makes a lot of sense for how they feel. That idea that they feel betrayed and blamed and stones cast on them for purely doing what their government doing what they needed to do to protect their people.
Mm-hmm.
And now backs are being turned on them as if they purposefully just wanted to go kill people. Like,
yeah, and they were saying like, yep, every order we're received is just an order they're receiving, you know, like I get it. I understand it.
Like, the true people who called for war weren't the ones that were blamed. It was the soldiers that fought it that were the ones blamed. And I think that their perspective and their anger is I can understand where they're
It's
coming
just
from with their
when it gets to
anger.
the stupid level of and
The
that
war never actually ended.
And that boy, no, not that.
Oh.
Like and that boy that I saw you with, he probably had nobody at home who loved him.
we're
I
just
bet
getting,
he
like-
died that night. Like I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
then you
yes,
lose a
you
little
have
bit of the sympathy or anything.
you have political like you. There's a reason that you're here, and things have happened to you.
We acknowledge
You don't
this.
have to be a fucking like that level of evil. Like who's that evil?
I know, right?
Like who's
like, come on, you had an argument there. I was following you for a second,
Like-
but then you said some really gross stuff. After
What's
that.
his name? Aiden? More like a giant piece of shit. Hope he's dead. Fuck you guys.
That is
like
what-
it's
yeah.
like okay, who is this? Does this person exist?
Yeah. I gotta say the choking with the knife and then the
Yeah.
getting the knife broken and then going back with the two hands.
I love-
Violet was pretty epic there.
I love dimming the light.
Oh
And-
yeah,
yeah.
in order to like maybe they won't check this cabin. 'cause
That
they
was
won't
really
think
cool.
anyone's
My
in
favorite
here.
moment in the entire episode was Dad Hodgins waiting for his daughter
Dad
to come
and daughter,
home.
I wrote that down too. Like,
Fuck.
and it's so funny because last episode we were discussing Hodgins' feelings about how he might feel of the dangerous
Tell me-
place that Violet was in.
Why was it here? Why was it in this episode? It wanted to be, and it works, and I can't explain
was
why.
so
I can't. It was
cute.
perfect.
He
It was
was
amazing.
like,
It was my favorite
"When
moment
will
this
she be
episode.
back?"
It was so good.
I think a really cool way to set up the episode was a line that they had both Diethard and Violet separately share, which was peace, purely just the word. We have his reaction to kind of the news. I think it was right before the opening happened, and that's the last word that he says, and it's kind of internally, it's to himself. And then as Violet's in the plane, and she is thinking about that, and she's looking down at the landscape, it's almost like she's questioning it as well. They're kind of in the same place, and it's that place of, as she's arguing to the enemy soldiers, like, reality for other people is that the war is over. But for a soldier, for you, for me, are the burns gone? Is the war over? Are we at peace yet? Is that even something that us with stained hands can obtain? Is that something we're allowed to have? It's all conversation points that Violet's had in conversations with Hodgins and things that she's been
You set me up a
internally
little
dealing
bit
with.
in the intro, and I was like, God, I wish that Hodgins could punch Diethard. And you're like, or at least Kaguya, like, yelling at him. I'm like, okay, that's fair. I got that. Mr. Vandal is so great, and I think that Violet and him need to start some VV Express DHL like 2-day service where you pay extra and Violet arrives quicker by plane and by parachute, and the services are just expedited. I think
just want
it
him
writes
to, like,
itself.
I want him to stay in the story, and anytime she needs to get anywhere
Yeah.
that's like further, he'll just be like, I'll fly you for free. It's on my, like, I'm on a route a certain way. I'll pick you up. I'll drop you off. Then just have like a lovely friendship and relationship.
Supplies, unlimited parachutes.
Yeah.
It's part of the experience.
Which do you prefer between Soldier Maiden or Battle Doll? Do you have a preference?
Soldier Maiden. I think Battle Doll is too like what
On the
fuck,
nose?
or like Akita Battle Angel. I don't know. There's something like that. Battle Doll feels like it would be a video game that released on the GameCube in 2006. I feel like, and nothing's wrong with that. That's fine. I just don't prefer it.
I wonder, like, I feel like you could break things down. Like, one almost has more of an esteemed feeling, like a respect on the name feeling, and the other has more of like a, you're just a little object thing. And I think that's interesting to note. Like, Soldier Maiden sounds like this majestic, powerful woman that, you know, is super strong and too much of a match
Like a
for
Valkyrie.
you. Yeah.
And
but
then
Battle
Doll's like you're a
Doll,
robot, right?
It sounds like it's like she's a tool, and it's like she's not even a real person, and yeah, there's like a different, I feel like, feeling to them, and maybe like you could break down like, well, who uses which phrase, or like, you know, maybe you could break that down. The brooch definitely came in a little bit, if not a lot of it, in this episode. I think that
Is this special to you? Like,
Yeah.
fuck off.
as I'm about to slice your head off, I'm gonna ask you if this is special.
We're
to
on
you.
a train. Like,
And the fact that earlier in the episode we get Diethard reacting, he looks into it, he knows what that represents. It's like that brooch calls to him in the same way that it calls to Violet.
I'm glad that Catalia was here. Obviously you have to include Violet, but does that imply that, like, this is a massively important event? I'm glad that she's getting her flowers, you know?
It's just like a very dangerous place for Benedict and Catalia to be. But
Benedict, my boy.
I think
Yeah.
yeah.
Last
okay.
episode, man.
Are you excited to go into the next episode?
No. I don't want it to be over. I'm pretty
Did you
sure
cry
we have
in this episode?
I don't know. But I'm pretty sure there's at least a movie after next episode. And that's good. That's fine. I really there's a type of show that I can't put into words that's like a start to finish short, like perfect show, masterpiece, great experience. And
Beginning to
it
end.
kind of breaks my heart when we don't have something like that we get to watch every week, because it's really, really important. I think that this has helped me appreciate letters more and realize how in my life that I've appreciated them. Every birthday card that I've thrown away, damn it,
Now you
Ben.
feel guilty.
Yeah.
That's
right.
exactly the goal of Violet Evergarden, is to make you feel guilty for throwing away that like 4th birthday card that just says happy birthday from like your Aunt Shirley.
I had
money
to
in
get
it.
confirmed when I was younger, because religion. And in one of the group activities, it was like 6 of us and then like an adult, we all had to write letters to each other, and they were like 2 pages long.
I'm trying to remember if I had to do that
And
same thing.
A lot of the people in my group I ended up going to school with from like kindergarten to 8th grade, and hadn't seen them in like 2 years. And I don't remember anything about the letters, and that's the point. I suck. I do remember the feeling of being like, whoa, to be honest, it was quite cynical at first. Like, all of this is lies. You're lying. That's every aspect of the letter. But the words that were written were like extremely kind and nice, and seeing me in a way that I didn't think those people saw me. And I don't have those letters anymore. I don't know where they are. But letters are really fucking important, man. That's why they exist. I'm making the most obvious statement ever. Goodbye. Are you good?
Bye. Yeah, please like, comment, subscribe, join us next time. Cool.